I thought my husband was cheating on me. For 3 months, I collected evidence, hired a detective, and planned my revenge. But when I finally confronted him with the proof, the truth was so shocking that I wished he had just been having an affair. Because what I discovered was far more dangerous than betrayal. My name is Jennifer, and I'm 32 years old. What I'm about to tell you happened 6 months ago, but I still wake up in cold sweats thinking about it. Because sometimes the truth you think you want to hear can destroy everything you thought you knew about your life. It all started on a Tuesday morning in March. My husband Mark was in the shower, and his phone kept buzzing on the nightstand. Now, Mark and I had been married for 8 years. We had what I thought was a solid relationship. We laughed together, we traveled together, we even survived the stress of buying our first house in suburban Chicago. But that morning, something made me glance at his phone. The screen lit up with a text notification from someone named Alex. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Same place as always. Delete this message." My blood ran cold. Same place as always? Delete this message? My hands started shaking as I stared at the phone. Mark was still in the shower, humming some random song like he didn't have a care in the world. I quickly put the phone back down, but my mind was racing. Who was Alex? And why was my husband meeting this person at some secret location? That evening, Mark said he had to work late. "Big presentation tomorrow, Jen. Might be home around 10 p.m. He kissed my forehead like he always did, grabbed his laptop bag, and left. I waited exactly 20 minutes, then got in my car and followed him. Mark didn't go to his office. Instead, he drove to a small cafe in downtown Chicago called the Blue Door. Through the window, I could see him sitting across from a woman with short blonde hair. She was beautiful, probably in her late 20s, wearing a black blazer and looking very professional. They talked intensely for about an hour. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see the way they looked at each other, the way she touched his hand across the table, the way he smiled at her, that same smile he used to give me when we first started dating. I sat in my car, crying, and feeling like my entire world was crashing down. The next morning, I couldn't eat breakfast. Mark was acting completely normal, asking me about my day, talking about weekend plans. But all I could think about was that woman's hand on his. "Mark," I said carefully, "how was your presentation last night?" "Oh, it went really well," he replied without missing a beat. "The client loved our proposal." He was lying. To my face. After 8 years of marriage, my husband was lying to me like it was nothing. That's when I decided to take action. I called my friend Lisa, who had gone through a messy divorce 2 years earlier. "Lisa, I need the name of that private investigator you hired." "Jennifer, what's going on? Is everything okay?" "I think Mark is having an affair." There was silence on the other end. Then Lisa said, "I'll text you the number right now." The private investigator's name was David Rodriguez. He was in his 50s, a former police detective who specialized in infidelity cases. When I met him at his office, he had kind eyes but a no-nonsense attitude. "Mrs. Thompson," he said, "I need you to understand something. Sometimes, when we go looking for the truth, we find things we wish we hadn't. Are you prepared for that?" I nodded. "I need to know. I can't live like this." David charged $150 per hour plus expenses. It was expensive, but I had some money saved for my job as a marketing coordinator. If Mark was cheating, I wanted evidence. Real evidence that would hold up in court if we got divorced. For the next 3 weeks, David followed Mark. He took photos, recorded conversations, legally from public spaces, and tracked his movements. Every few days, he'd call me with updates. "Your husband meets with the blonde woman, Alex Santori, twice a week. Always at the Blue Door Cafe, always for exactly 1 hour. Your husband also visits a storage unit facility on the south side of town, Unit 247. He goes there alone, usually after meeting with Alex. Last Tuesday, your husband withdrew $5,000 in cash from your joint savings account. Do you know anything about that? I didn't know anything about that. Mark had never mentioned needing cash, and $5,000 was a significant amount of money. By the end of 3 weeks, I had a thick folder full of evidence. Photos of Mark and Alex holding hands, photos of him kissing her cheek goodbye, bank records showing multiple cash withdrawals totaling $15,000 over the past 2 months. Even a photo of Mark entering that storage unit. I felt sick, betrayed, angry, but also, strangely, relieved. At least now I knew I wasn't going crazy. My instincts had been right. I decided to confront Mark on a Friday evening. He came home at his usual time, around 6:30 p.m., carrying takeout from our favorite Thai restaurant. "Hey babe," he said, setting the food on the kitchen counter. "I got your favorite, pad thai with extra vegetables." I looked at him, really looked at him. This man who had promised to love and honor me. This man who was living a double life. "Mark, we need to talk." He turned around, and I could see in his eyes that he immediately knew something was wrong. "What's going on, Jen?" "You look upset." I pulled out the folder and set it on the kitchen table. "I know about Alex." The color drained from his face. He sat down heavily in one of our kitchen chairs, his hands shaking slightly. "Jen, I can explain." "Can you?" I opened the folder and started pulling out photos. "Can you explain why you've been meeting with this woman twice a week for months? Can you explain why you've withdrawn $15,000 from our savings account? Can you explain why you have a secret storage unit?" Mark stared at the photos, his face cycling through emotions I couldn't read, fear, sadness, and something that looked almost like relief. "How long have you known?" he asked quietly. 3 months. I hired a private investigator." I was proud of how steady my voice sounded, even though inside I was falling apart. Mark put his head in his hands. "Oh God, Jen, this is so much worse than I thought." "Worse? How could it be worse, Mark? You're having an affair." He looked up at me then, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Fear. Real, genuine fear. "Jen, I'm not having an affair." "Don't lie to me. I have photos. I have evidence." "I know you do, and I know how this looks. But Jen..." He took a deep breath. "Alex isn't my girlfriend. She's my sister." I stared at him. "What?" "Alex is my sister, my half-sister, and she's in the witness protection program." The world seemed to tilt. "That's impossible. You don't have a sister. You told me you were an only child." I lied. Mark's voice was barely above a whisper. "I've been lying about a lot of things, but not about loving you. Never about that." I felt like I was in some kind of alternate reality. "Mark, what are you talking about?" He stood up and walked to our kitchen window, looking out at our quiet suburban street. "My real name isn't Mark Thompson. It's Marco Torino. I'm from New Jersey, not Ohio like I told you. And my father..." He paused. "My father was involved with some very dangerous people." "What kind of dangerous people?" "The kind that kill people who cross them." I sat down hard in my chair. This couldn't be real. This was my husband, Mark Thompson, who worked in accounting at a mid-sized insurance company, who watched football on Sundays and helped me plant flowers in our garden every spring. "When I was 19, Mark continued, I witnessed something I shouldn't have. A murder. My father's business partner killed someone, and I saw it happen. I testified against him in court. And he swore he'd kill me and anyone in my family if he ever got the chance. He got 25 years in prison, but his organization, they have long memories. Mark turned back to me. The FBI offered me witness protection, new identity, new life, far away from New Jersey. I took it because the alternative was probably death. But that was how long ago? 13 years. I've been Marco Thompson for 13 years. I met you 5 years after I got my new identity, and Jen falling in love with you wasn't part of the plan. But it happened, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I couldn't process this. So Alex, your sister. Alex got pulled into witness protection 3 years ago. Same reason. She saw something she shouldn't have. The man I testified against got out of prison early for good behavior. His people found Alex and threatened her. The FBI had to relocate her. And you've been meeting with her secretly for 3 years? For the past 4 months. She was relocated to Chicago, and this is the first time I've been able to see family in over a decade. We meet at public places, always careful, always watching for anyone who might be following us. My head was spinning. The storage unit. Emergency cash and documents. The FBI requires us to maintain escape funds and fake identities in case we need to disappear quickly. The $15,000? Money for Alex. She's having trouble with her new job, and I've been helping her financially. I stared at my husband, or Marco, or whoever he was, and realized I didn't know him at all. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered. "Because the more people who know, the more dangerous it becomes. And because—" He sat back down across from me. "Because I was terrified you'd leave me if you knew the truth about my past. Your past, where you did the right thing by testifying against a murderer. My past, where I put you in danger just by marrying you. Jen, if these people ever find me, find us, they won't hesitate to hurt you to get to me." I looked at the photos spread across our kitchen table. Mark and Alex talking intensely. Mark and Alex hugging goodbye. What I thought was evidence of an affair was actually evidence of a brother and sister who had been separated by circumstances beyond their control, trying to maintain some connection despite the danger. "Are we in danger now?" I asked. "I don't know. The FBI agent assigned to our case says there's been some chatter recently, people asking questions about old cases, trying to track down witnesses. That's why Alex and I have been meeting more frequently. We're trying to decide if we need to relocate again." "Relocate again? As in, leave Chicago. Leave our life here." Mark reached across the table and took my hands. "Jen, I know this is a lot. I know I should have told you before we got married, but I was selfish. I wanted a normal life with you so badly that I convinced myself the danger wasn't real anymore." I pulled my hands away. "You've been lying to me for our entire relationship. About my past? Yes. But never about my feelings for you. Never about who I am now, today, with you. Who are you, though? Are you Mark or Marco? Are you from Ohio or New Jersey? How do I know what's real?" "This is real," he said, gesturing between us. "Our marriage is real. Our love is real. Our house, our friends, our life together. That's all real. The only thing that's fake is my name and my backstory." I stood up and walked to the kitchen sink, staring out at our backyard, where we'd hosted barbecues with friends who knew us as Mark and Jennifer Thompson, the normal suburban couple. "What happens now?" I asked. "That depends on you." I turned around. "What do you mean?" "I mean, if you want me to leave, I'll leave. I'll disappear, and you can go back to your life. You can tell people I died in an accident, or that I left you, or whatever story you want to tell. The FBI can arrange it. And if I don't want you to leave, then you need to understand that your life will never be completely normal. There will always be a small chance that we might have to run." There will always be secrets we have to keep. And there will always be a part of my past that I can't share with you because it's too dangerous. I looked at this man I'd been married to for 8 years. This man who apparently wasn't who I thought he was, but who had just offered to disappear from my life to keep me safe. "Do you love Alex?" I asked suddenly. Mark looked confused. "Of course I love Alex. She's my sister." "I mean, are you in love with her? Because those photos, the way you look at her." Understanding dawned in his eyes. "Oh, Jen. Number God, no. That look on my face? That's not romance. That's relief. Relief at seeing the only family I have left. Relief that she's safe. Relief that I'm not completely alone in this world." He stood up and walked over to me. "The only woman I've ever been in love with is standing right in front of me. The only woman I want to spend my life with is you." I felt tears starting to fall. "But our whole relationship is built on a lie." "No," Mark said firmly. "Our relationship is built on love. The lie is just complicated background noise." "Complicated background noise?" "Mark, you're in witness protection." "Marco," he said quietly, "if we're going to do this, if we're going to try to make this work, you should probably start calling me by my real name." I stared at him. "Marco." "Marco Torino. Born in Newark, New Jersey. Former witness to a mob murder. Current husband to the most amazing woman in Chicago." Despite everything, I found myself almost smiling. This is insane. I know. I married a completely different person than I thought I did. You married exactly the person you thought you did. I just have a more complicated past than most people. I thought about the private investigator, about the 3 months of suspicion and pain, about the folder full of evidence that told a completely different story than what I'd imagined. "I need time," I said finally. "I need time to process this." "How much time?" "I don't know. This changes everything, Marco. This changes our entire future." He nodded. "I understand. But Jennifer, while you're thinking about it, I need you to be careful. Don't tell anyone about this conversation. Don't research my real name online. Don't try to contact Alex. If there really are people looking for us, any unusual activity could put us all in danger." "Are you serious right now? You're telling me my life might be in danger, and I can't even talk to anyone about it." "I know how that sounds. But yes, for now, until we figure out what we're going to do, we have to act completely normal." I looked around our kitchen, our normal suburban kitchen where we'd eaten thousands of meals together, where we'd laughed and argued and made plans for the future. "What about kids?" I asked suddenly. "We've been talking about having kids. What happens if we have children? Do they grow up knowing their father is in witness protection? Do they have to live with the constant fear that we might have to run?" Marco's face crumpled. "I don't know. I've been asking myself the same questions for years." "Years? You mean you've been thinking about this? About us having children, while knowing this secret?" "Of course I have. Do you think this has been easy for me? Do you think I don't lie awake at night wondering if I'm being selfish by staying married to you?" I could hear the pain in his voice, and despite everything, my heart ached for him, for us. "I can't promise you a normal life," he continued. "I can't promise you that we'll never have to leave everything behind and start over. But I can promise you that I will spend every day of my life trying to protect you and love you." I wiped my eyes with the back of my hand. "I need to call in sick to work tomorrow. I need to think." "Okay. And I want to meet Alex. Properly. I want to understand what we're dealing with." Marco hesitated. "That might not be safe." "Marco, if I'm going to stay in this marriage, if I'm going to be part of this life, then I need to know everything. No more secrets, no more lies, even if the truth is dangerous." He studied my face for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Okay, I'll arrange it." That night, we slept in the same bed, but didn't touch. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the man I'd known as Mark Thompson breathe beside me. Every few minutes, I'd glance over at him and try to reconcile this person with the story he'd told me. Marco Torino, witness protection, mob connections, a sister I'd never heard of, fake identities, and emergency cash, and the possibility that we might have to disappear at any moment. 3 months ago, I thought the worst thing that could happen was that my husband was cheating on me. Now I knew better. Sometimes the truth you think you want can shatter your entire world. But sometimes, if you're brave enough, it can also set you free. The question was I brave enough? 2 days later, I met Alex at a small diner on the outskirts of the city. She was even more beautiful in person, with intelligent green eyes and a warm smile that reminded me of Marco's. "You must be Jennifer," she said, standing up to shake my hand. "I've heard so much about you." "I wish I could say the same," I replied, sitting down across from her. Alex laughed. "Fair point. Marco told me about your investigation. You're pretty thorough. I thought you were sleeping with my husband. And instead, you found out your husband is my brother, who's been in witness protection for over a decade. I'd say that's a plot twist worthy of a movie." Despite myself, I smiled. "A really bad movie. Hey, I'd watch it." We ordered coffee, and Alex told me her story, how she'd been working as a financial advisor in Newark when she discovered that one of her clients was laundering money for the same organization that Marco had testified against, how she'd tried to report it through proper channels, only to be told that the FBI was already investigating, how she'd agreed to help gather evidence, not knowing that she was putting herself in danger. "The night they came for me," Alex said quietly, "I was at home watching Netflix. 3 men broke down my door. If my neighbor hadn't called the police, I'd probably be dead." God, Alex. The FBI offered me the same deal they gave Marco. New identity, new life, witness protection. The alternative was basically hiding in fear forever, assuming I lived that long. "And you've been apart for 3 years?" "We've been apart for 13 years, except for the past 4 months. Jennifer, you have to understand. When Marco went into witness protection, our entire family had to cut contact with him. It was like he died. I grieved for my brother for over a decade. I felt tears welling up. I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry. Be aware. This life, this world that Marco brought you into by marrying you, it's not normal, it's not safe, and it's not easy." "He said you might have to relocate again." Alex nodded. "There's been some activity, people asking questions. My FBI handler thinks someone might be getting close to figuring out where we are." "What does that mean for Marco and me?" "That depends on you. If you stay with him, you become part of this. If something happens, if we have to run, you run too. Your life, your job, your friends, your family. You might have to leave it all behind with no warning and no goodbye." I stared into my coffee cup. "And if I don't stay with him?" "Then Marco disappears, and you go back to being Jennifer Thompson, widow or divorcee, living a normal life in suburban Chicago. What would you do if you were me?" Alex was quiet for a long moment. "I'd probably run. This life, it's not fair to ask someone to choose it. But I've never seen my brother as happy as he's been these past 8 years. You saved him, Jennifer. Before you, he was just surviving. With you, he's been living." When I got home that evening, Marco was in the kitchen making dinner, spaghetti and meatballs, my favorite comfort food. "How did it go?" he asked, not turning around. "She's wonderful. And she's terrified." "Yeah, she is. We both are." I walked up behind him and put my arms around his waist. He tensed, then relaxed into my embrace. "Marco." "Yeah, I love you, and I'm staying." He turned around in my arms, his eyes bright with unshed tears. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." But I have conditions. Anything. No more secrets. If something happens, if we have to run, you tell me immediately. No protecting me from the truth. Done. And we start planning for the possibility that we might have to leave. Emergency funds, important documents, a plan for what we do if we get separated. Already working on it. And Marco? Yeah. We're going to have a normal marriage despite the abnormal circumstances. We're going to fight about whose turn it is to take out the trash. We're going to watch bad movies on Friday nights. We're going to plant flowers in the spring and argue about what color to paint the bedroom. Marco smiled. That same smile that had made me fall in love with him 8 years ago. And if we have to run, then we'll plant flowers in our new garden and argue about what color to paint our new bedroom. He kissed me then, and I realized that sometimes love isn't about finding someone who doesn't have secrets. Sometimes love is about finding someone whose secrets you're willing to share. 3 months later, we didn't have to run. The FBI arrested 2 men who had been tracking down witnesses for Marco's case. Alex was relocated to Seattle, and Marco and we stayed in Chicago. We still live in the same house. I still work as a marketing coordinator. Marco still works in accounting. To everyone who knows us, we're still Mark and Jennifer Thompson, the normal suburban couple. But now, when Marco gets mysterious text messages, I don't panic. Now, when he has to make secret phone calls, I understand. Now, when he looks worried, for no apparent reason, I know it's because he's carrying the weight of protecting not just himself, but me too. Is it a normal life? Number. Is it the life I thought I was choosing when I married him? Definitely not. But it's our life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Because sometimes the truth you're afraid to learn turns out to be the truth that sets you free. And sometimes the husband you think is cheating on you turns out to be the man who loves you enough to risk everything just to keep you safe.